Good evening, members. First of all, just do the housekeeping part, which is evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, please leave by one of the 6 emergency exits around the sides of the chamber. Please assemble at the far side of the front car park nearest to the park entrance. Officers will be on hand to assist persons who require any assistance. Public recording of the meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record, or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. Please switch mobile phones to silent. Microphones. Councillors and officers are reminded to use their microphones when speaking for the benefit of all present. Thank you. So welcome to tonight's meeting of the council. We'll get straight on with item 1, apologies for absence. Apologies for absence have been received from councillors Glancy, Holmes and Higgins. I don't believe anybody else is missing, so we should be able to go from that one. I can therefore confirm that we have 24 members present. Declarations of interest. If any members would like to indicate that they have an interest to declare, could they please do so by raising their hand? A personal interest in respect of County Councillor Orson is taken as being on record for any matters which relate to the Leicestershire County Council. Councillor Posnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been advised that I am unable to speak at tonight's meeting due to having a personal interest which may become biased. This is due to my property being close to the proposed road. I am also a cabinet member at Leicestershire County Council and have never spoken at meetings in County Hall and left the debate due to the reasons I've given. I'm also chair of planning at Melton, so I've been advised that I would make this declaration, and I will now leave the council chamber and not take part in any debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Posnett. Any other declarations of interest? No other declarations. Okay, item 3, cabinet recommendations to council. Staged payment agreement with Leicestershire County Council to support infrastructure investment. We'll just wait for Councillor Posnett to leave. Okay, Councillor Orson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's an extra special night tonight, isn't it? Having been involved with 3 years of conversation with the County Council. It's a long time, but we are where we are, and we are here. As I said at the cabinet meeting earlier, the ducks seem to be in a row now. And if this is approved tonight, I do envisage that the long promised bypass will start in the early part of the year. Basically in the north and east, it will be fairly small stuff at the start. And then roughly speaking, maybe early autumn or late autumn, you'll see more heavy work in the north and east going on. Obviously, it's a mammoth. I think it's the biggest project the County Council will have ever undertaken. The south, of course, at this moment in time, if this does go through tonight, there is no planning permission on the south at this moment in time. So the County Council, as I understand it, their officers are working towards a planning application for the south. But you'll be well aware of the importance of the whole relief road to Melton and our efforts over a number of years to see it built. And for the homes and jobs, Melton needs to be unlocked. Since the adoption of our local plan, we have been working with the County Council to find a way to manage the financial risks associated with the £160 million investment for highways and education in Melton. The offer of 65 million grant funding from the government is unbelievable and fantastic, but that still leaves nearly £100 million gap to bridge, which is why this has been such a challenge to both of the authorities. I'm now delighted to report that after a considerable amount of work and effort, both by ourselves and the County Council, that tonight we can take a massive step closer to seeing our aspirations realised, and also the aspirations of the people out there in Melton Mowbray who tell me constantly it's the biggest priority we have. In a special cabinet meeting immediately prior to this one, we have approved entry into a staged payment agreement with the County Council, which will make a contribution to infrastructure costs within Melton. Entering the agreement is subject to Council approving the financial implications and making the necessary provision in the capital programme. If Council accept the recommendations before us tonight, our agreement with the County Council will enable them to enter the agreement with Holmes England, accept the HIF grant and deliver the southern section of the MMDR, Mr. Mayor. This is fantastic progress, particularly when you consider where we were back in June. The HIF grant was at risk of being rejected, and with it, the southern section of the road may never have happened. It is testament to the hard work and commitment of officers and members, both at NBC and the County Council, that this did not happen. And I want to thank everyone who has played a major part or any part in this. I also want to thank those in our communities who back in June made their voice heard in such numbers and showed through their strength of feeling that we had to find a way to get this done. Their support and that of our MP was invaluable. And I must again pay tribute for the work Alicia Kearns has done to help make this happen. We should be under no illusion in the context of the financial challenge facing the council making a commitment of £1.75 million to infrastructure represents a significant investment for Melton. We are confident we can manage it, but must accept that it will be more difficult to resource other priorities, and we may at some point have to remove resources from less important things. Nevertheless, given delivering the road represents the biggest single priority we have, and I am certain this is the right approach, and I ask all members to join me in supporting the recommendations before us this evening. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm very happy to move the recommendations at 212223. I would ask if I have the support of other members for a recorded vote in accordance with Chapter 3, Part 1, Paragraph 17.5b of the Council Meetings Procedure Rules. And I look for a seconder. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to thank all officers and members who were involved in reaching this conclusion. I know how much work went into it. There are, though, many Melton residents who wonder why this agreement took so long and therefore was so expensive to finalise. It is an agreement between two authorities who are paid for by them to work for their benefit. Let us hope in future that closer working between our two authorities will be an additional outcome to the benefit of our residents. I have pleasure in seconding 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Before we go on, Councillor Orson has said he would like a recorded vote. So do we have any other people to support it? We need two more to support it.
Happy to support.
Yes. Thank you. That's fine. Then we'll go to a recorded vote. Okay, so now we come to debate. Who wants to be first? Councillor Illingworth.
Yes, the one with the face on it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, in anybody's reckoning, 1.75 million is a lot of money. I wish I had a tenth of that myself, but I don't. But in the overall scheme of things, I think it's a very modest and welcome figure for this council's contribution. We're not a huge authority, and we're not a cash-rich authority. But if 1.75 secures this project that everybody that's ever sat around this table during the lifetime of its discussion, and everybody out there in Melton and the surrounding areas has been wanting. So it's the biggest single project I hear that the county council have taken on. I would guess it's probably the biggest single project that we've taken on and contributed to that size. And now is certainly not the time for anybody to have cold feet. I sincerely hope that to a man and a woman, this vote is unanimous. It certainly gets my support. I can't think of anything more significant in my years as a councillor, and I'm sure many others will share that same view. So big sigh of relief. Let's get it passed. Let's get it signed. Let's get it started. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Illingworth. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a long road, as the leader of the council has said, a long, long road, and an acrimonious one at times, unfortunately, for which I do blame Leicestershire County Council on the main part. I'm very unfortunate, but I think when negotiations get to a stage like this, you have to make a decision whether you decide enough is enough, we put the past behind us, we move forward as a team to actually make this work. And I've looked over this, and I'll give you the reasons afterwards. I've looked over this, and it is close to me because there are concerns, but I will be voting in favour of this because I think this is the best deal for Melton and the best deal in particular for this borough council, given the circumstances we have. I would like to first of all put on record, for obvious reasons, all the incredible hard work and effort over the years that has been put by the officers of Melton Borough Council. They have endured what could only be described as difficult times, challenging times. Some names have been called of our chief exec and others, not in comparison, which I didn't like, and the leader of the council knows I didn't like that. But we have to move on now, and I will thank the MP and everybody from the top down who actually got this over the line with the county council and put them in a position where they wanted a deal. One of my concerns, to be honest, and I'm sure it's a concern of the leader of the council, is the way it feels like we're being railroaded with very short notice, with very limited time to look over the actual details of this deal. But it is what it is. We stand here now. The alternative to me is not acceptable, because we'd have to revisit the local plan. All kinds of issues would come out of the woodwork, which would be a nightmare for this council. 1.75 million to some councils wouldn't be a lot, but to us could be very difficult. And I'm sure even the chief exec would say, yes, I am concerned that over the years now we are going to be in a struggle, and it will be a struggle to make ends meet, given the times we are in. But when you have to look at the bigger picture and the deal that in particular our monitoring officer has put together with the county council, I think personally, I wouldn't say this to the county council, although they're listening probably, she's got a brilliant deal, because the alternatives I've seen before it, to be honest, I couldn't vote for, because I felt that the devil was in the detail, and the detail was bad for us. We would be on every development looking over our shoulder all the while. This means we don't have to do this as a planning committee. We don't have to do that anymore, and that is vital for this situation. We cannot have that. We cannot have our hands tied when it comes to a planning committee meeting, and that is crucial to me. And therefore that's why I say incredibly well done to the people involved, because now I feel with a clear conscience, even though there are real worries in the future for it, I think we've got the best deal we possibly could do given the circumstances. But we need to move forward, and we need to plan, hopefully, for a brighter future and a brighter partnership with Leicestershire County Council, because I think that is important, and we need not to have these. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Anybody else wish to make a comment? No, I can't see any more hands. Can you see anybody? No. Oh, sorry, the lead.
I would like to speak last.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna, yeah. Yeah, I'd just like to add my personal thanks to everybody who's been concerned with this, because it has been a gargantuan effort to get this past to this stage. Thank you all very much. Councillor Orson.
Thank you very much, everyone. I've just answered a few points that have been raised. Obviously, Malise's points about working together. I'm well aware that there's something called the Members Advisory Group, which Councillor Binlos will now be on. He probably doesn't know about this yet. But following the agreement between Melton Borough Council and Leicestershire County Council, both authorities will be reviewing lessons learned, as they call it. So I hope that gives some satisfaction to Councillor Graham. In response to Councillor Illingworth's points, thanks for your support, John. Yeah, 1.75 million. If you work it out, it's about 1%, of course, of 160 million, a little bit over, obviously. You quite rightly say, John, it doesn't sound a lot of money. It doesn't when you compare it to 160 million, but it is a lot of money for Melton Borough Council. But the important thing is there is a cap on that, and this Chris alluded to that, and that's what's massively important. But I do have to say, though, the very first meeting we had with the County Council, there was only Ed and myself there and a couple of representatives from the County Council. It took part in the down there, that room, Etchison room, I think they call it, I'm not sure now. And the County Council did ask us for £2.4 million per year. So that goes to show you the success of negotiation. But the beauty of any negotiation, if both parties are happy, it's a good deal. And that's what we got. Both parties are happy with the deal. It is, John, it is LCC's biggest project. There's no doubt about that. And it's almost certainly, I don't have it on record, but it's certainly going to be massive work for Melton Borough Council. And I suspect the biggest thing we've got involved in as well. But importantly, of course, following COVID and the issues that has raised, it is a wonderful post-COVID regeneration tonic to the whole economy of Melton Borough. Absolutely no doubt about that. Chris, thank you for your support. You're right. Let's get time to get on. You mentioned the previous history of negotiations. As you know, Chief Executive and myself have endured a character assassination in a cabinet meeting from LCC, which wasn't very pleasant. We didn't reply. That's the way it goes. So we are where we are. But the interesting thing is, on October the 19th, by the way, the County Council got in touch with us and told us we had to give an answer to them by October the 26th. And we all know that's physically impossible because of Kieran, quite rightly, a monitoring officer will be there saying, I'm sorry, but you're not following the rules properly. It was then extended to the 31st. We still find it difficult. So we did get in touch with Holmes England, and they did allow us to take this decision for the first few days into November. You are quite right, Chris. The one beauty of this agreement is, and you absolutely got it smack on, when it goes to a planning committee, those 10 or 11 members of the planning committee, their hands are not tied having to look at 106. It is important, 106. I'm not taking that away. And the record of this authority gathering the 106 to Leicestershire County Council, I believe we are the most successful chief executive. We have delivered 99.8% in just over 5 years. That's a pretty good record for delivering 106 to the County Council for such a major project. You mentioned the massive push, and you thank people, and you're right to mention the MP, Alicia, but this really did go to the top of government. It went all the way to who was then the Secretary of State, Robert Jenrick. Ed and I met, well, only online, but we were involved where the Minister of State, Chris Pincher, chaired the meetings. That was how much the Tory party put into this project. They wanted it to happen. Following those meetings, it's pretty obvious we've been on the home run. It's been difficult, but I believe we're there, and it is a wonderful opportunity tonight with a name vote for members to show support for this project. So thank you very much, members. I haven't heard anyone speak against it, and fingers crossed you'll all support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Orson. So we'll now go to the Chief Executive for the recorded vote on the recommendations at 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, I'll ask each of you in turn if you would indicate, please, for me whether you are for, against or wish to abstain. Councillor Baines. Councillor Bindloss.
4.
Councillor Brown.
4.
Councillor Carter.
4.
Councillor Chandler. Councillor Child. Councillor Cumbers.
4.
Councillor de Burgh.
4.
Councillor Douglas. Councillor Evans.
4.
Councillor Faulkner.
4.
Councillor Fisher.
4.
Councillor Freer.
4.
Councillor Glancy is absent. Councillor Graham. Councillor Hewson.
4.
Councillor Higgins is absent. Councillor Holmes is absent. Councillor Illingworth. Councillor Lumley.
4.
Councillor Orson.
4.
Councillor Posnett is absent. Councillor Pritchard.
4.
Councillor Smith.
4.
Councillor Steadman.
4.
Councillor Wilkinson.
4.
Councillor Wood. Thank you, members.
Okay, members, thank you very much. That's passed unanimously. So thank you all for your time tonight. We've now completed the meeting and
So I think the leader wants.
sorry, I think the leader wants to say something.
Just a final thank you to everyone for the unanimous support. It's just massive, isn't it? This is, I never dreamt I'd live long enough to quite see this, but well, as long as I get to about 75, 76, I will do. So fingers crossed. I've got no plans to leave yet. I think it's massively important to actually thank another group of people tonight that haven't been mentioned at all, but they actually swung it, because if you take yourself back to the dark days of June, where the County Council Cabinet were to receive a paper recommending that the County Council didn't accept the HIF bid, the Melton public came to the rescue and effectively they saved the road. So this is all down to Melton Borough residents. They supported this council in the petition, as you well know, and they supported us all the way along. It was absolutely unbelievable on social media to watch what happened. Jacob's not in, he's a big social media fan. And we've just really got to get the message out. Thank you to all the residents who took part in that rescue mission. They saved the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Orson. So about to close the meeting there. If members could leave the paperwork behind so it can be collected up, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Members, ladies and gentlemen, could you please be upstanding for the Mayor of Melton? Thank you.